Hi, and welcome to another Design Boardroom. And this one is going to be a ton of fun. We're going to talk about I never would have thought of that. And hopefully, if you're in business, that is a phrase that you have heard several times because the minute you hear it, you're like, it just kind of melts your heart. So, JoAnne, Lenart-Weary, and I are going to share some of our never would have thought about that inspiration and ways that you can reach that. Hi, JoAnne.
Hi, Sandra. Delighted to be here. Yeah, let's talk about a few ideas. Some of them budget, some of them not, but you're in the right place if you like turning nothing into something. I mean, that's always so exciting when you're done, you go, "Oh my God, look what I created." You like to surprise people. When we were teaching our live classes on a regular basis, I'd always tell my students when the client says, "Oh my gosh, I never would have thought of that," you nailed it. And so my students would always listen to that phrasing. I also love the idea of being creative because it makes you unique. You're not like everybody else. You have a whole new approach. Um, and then also, this should be part of your success made simple strategy. You want them talking about you. And so, the more creative you are, the more they're going to be buzzing about you after their room is done. And that's going to get you more business. And that's our goal.
And build that confidence too, getting to hear that phrase.
Absolutely.
So, as we have said numerous times in our boardrooms and our last Tuesday free, if you're part of that series, here's our phone numbers. You will always get access to our emails, and we want you to reach out to us and share some stories or things you want to hear. But we are here to help you be able to get that comment. I never would have thought of that.
So, first of all, we want you to think about arming yourself to be creative. What is that word? Plan for your success. So, make sure that you have a tool bag that has some of the extras. Of course, you can have all of your basic um, hand tools that you need if you're working in a client's house, but add some of the other things, like have extra ribbons with you, a glue gun. Dowels are something that I use quite often. Rub and buff in every possible
Mm.
color. Run, don't walk to stock up on rub and buff. Um, and you can get that at your local Hobby Lobby, Michael's, wherever crafts store. Some self-stick wallpaper. I love to have that with me if I'm doing bookshelves or something. It's an easy way to make a quick change in the back of a bookcase, and you'll see that later. And of course, inspiration and creativity needs to be carried in a bushel basket with you at all times.
I love it. And this is where even sharing with clients, I just shared recently about the rub and bub because we just needed to knock down, we had a kind of metallic gold that we needed to get rid of. And by the time I've empowered them to go buy it, they can do that themselves if they want to have a little involvement in it. But they are saying, oh, I never heard of that. So that's
Mhm.
where that creative toolbox comes in handy. Speaking
So,
of handy.
ensure your success. You need to have a handyman in your toolkit. One or two that you can refer to. This is my darling husband who has a handyman business, but I've been using him for years. But it allows you to create things or do projects that you maybe personally are not comfortable doing. Sandra and I are both very, very hands-on people, but not everyone is. So have a handyman that you can turn to.
And certain skills you're going to have like several, especially painters. If you're in an area where you can paint year round, that's great, but we usually keep at least six painters on our vendor list and having vendors that are vetted. That is very important. You want to make sure they have the proper credentials, they're insured, so to speak.
And depending on your business model, let's just say real quick, Sandra, for the most part, I do not pay my tradespeople. My client pays my tradespeople because that changes my legal obligation and liability to them. So I will give them three names. I let them interview the painter, and they will pay the painter directly. And in many cases, depending on who the tradesperson is, they also will pay me a referral fee.
Good point.
So here's a fun, quick idea. This is our friend Margie Nance, and Margie wanted a sofa table like element, but she knew it was not going to show. So this was done very simply with a 1 by 12 that you can get at your local uh, big box store, and they will cut it right there for you. So they got the 1 by 12, and then they got some core bells to mount it on underneath, put a coat of stain on it, and it allowed her to give that breathing room and dimension behind her sofa for extra display, without the cost of a sofa table that would never show anyways.
Not only is it budget friendly, but you could dictate the size that you wanted because it's not always easy to even find the right size of some of those sofa tables.
Right, right. This, well, Sandra, I'll let you talk about each of these tables here.
Well, part of what gets you recognized is what you bring in creativity, like JoAnne we were talking about in the toolbox. This accent table on the left is literally two lampshades. Lampshades that we don't necessarily migrate to because they're dust collectors, but putting them connected and put that cute little detail of a belt that buckles are really still hot right now. And then you can put whatever kind of top that you wanted. I've used Lazy Susans sitting on top of large copper vases before, containers. But this is just a budget friendly. You have to have the right space for it, but it's out of the box thinking. And then on the left is, we have the live edge. This is a very chunky piece, but what makes this unique and practical is the legs. These industrial legs are adjustable. You can see right here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and this is a good piece for, anytime you're putting two chairs and you're angling them, whether it's a true 45 but they're angled together, being able to have an accent table that kind of molds into that space, whether it's a rectangle, or this live edge that kind of meets the needs of the space, being functional.
I love the adjustable legs because,
Mhm.
oftentimes I tend to work on my sofa more. I always have this nest around me. And then, like this, when I'm doing a webinar, to be able to have a table that might serve as a lamp table, but now I can just bring it forward and elevate it to use for my computer as kind of a desk situation is great.
Perfect.
So this was a project that I had done for a client, and this is the self-stick wallpaper. We designed the bookcases. They flanked sides of a window in a bedroom. And then I put in the self-stick wallpaper and then decorated them accordingly. The beauty of the self-stick wallpaper is it's everywhere. And it's so easy to put up, even if you've never done it before. If it is really inexpensive, do not buy it. You're essentially buying contact paper, and it's horrible to work with.
Oh,
Um,
it's
but
a it's a three-person job.
yeah, but most of the self-stick wallpapers are, if you're getting a medium or more price range, they're very easy to do by yourself, and especially when you're doing a small project. But look how it gave those bookshelves some real life and added a nice backdrop to her various accessories.
Love it. These were just a couple examples of I never would have thought about it, but this was, of course, in Park City, Utah. This was a cute little cabin, and we literally cut down several trees and we had the branches from the property and we used them. We were still conscious about code. We made sure they were close together, but and we did put a little shellac on them just to give them a little bit deeper color. On the left, this was a gorgeous home. And they actually had used these hoses just to rake
Pitchforks.
pitchfork.
Pitchfork.
Gosh, all of a sudden I drew a
Excuse
blank
me.
there. But isn't that cute?
It
I'm
is. It's darling.
adorable. Oh, yes. Okay, so let's talk about the skyline zone. When it's so ignored in so many places and homes, but if you've got this opportunity to make it a drama feature and create that balance in the space. So this was a dining room, had this great idea to kind of come out from the center. There was a lot of math happening in this space. But once it was calculated and figured out, the end product was really breathtaking. It was just gorgeous. And then this is an unexpected element. This was a home that was on the market, and this is not your typical kitchen island. They added this live edge element. Now, what was definitely out of the box, I'm not sure that it's what I would have picked. I love the idea of having the live edge addition because that was also, you could sit and have breakfast, lunch, you could seat people, but they put it at a very unique, I will say, angle. This could have been dictated by the builder or the homeowner could have wanted it that way. But I do like the concept of mixing this element and also notice how this is brought around the
Mhm.
room, which it made it a very cohesive feel in the color selection.
And Sandra, in regards to the skyline zone, I'm going to just turn my camera a little bit, and you can see here our ceiling in our TV room and a guest room. And my husband happened to go to a sale and got enough of this tongue and groove that had already been stained this lovely blue. When he brought it home, my plan was to paint it. And then as it started to go up, it was like, oh, I love that
Yeah.
color. Um, and he paid $40 for enough wood to do well, this whole area here is about 12 by 24, and there's still wood left. So, you never
Wow.
know when you're going to come across something.
You
But
can bet
that added so much interest to the space because it's a vaulted ceiling.
it does. So this is a client and this is a bird's eye view. I'm sit on this top floor, as you can see, but this space is very awkward. They have a very pretty vertical waved tile going here. We've got a different type of tile. And then we have this space that it was truly, and I appreciate them letting me focus on that because it wasn't bugging them as much as it was me. So I gave them a lot of options. Paint. We can paint it a warmer color. Excuse me. There we go. We can paint it a color that marries these together that made it feel like it was had a purpose in the space. Then brainstorming, paneling, trim, and I then put this was a very closer detailed, but I put it in AI and had it spread out so that we could see this would be a way to kind of coordinate the wave tile on the right and also give purpose to that big space in the skyline zone. But then, and I should have popped it in here, I will pop it in, we'll put it in a post. But then we found this, and this kind of inspired me to then do kind of a married between these two, but instead of the gold, I did a brushed nickel detail and it looks really cool. So it's also that evolving, bringing that creativity. Hey, and the homeowner gets excited with you. You may not have the end idea as you're working through it on the spot, but they get excited with you, like, what about this? What about that? And then you end up with something that's a nice collaboration.
Well, and like you said, Sandra, the client didn't even know it was wrong. They
Exactly.
did, yeah, they didn't even realize it until you brought their attention to it. And so that just validates what you bring to or bring to the table there and adds credibility for you.
Exactly. And then also being able to do that finishing touch, which You guys know if you've been on any of these, I love handles. I love, big handles. So being able to bring that brushed look down into the cabinetry, then also we're just creating just a more balanced kitchen.
Mhm. The other thing that I was talking about my wood ceiling here. I was like, what am I talking about on this slide? But I'm talking about thrift core. Exactly what I talked about in the last slide, the cost of that ceiling. So, when you have a client, understand that if you're smart and you can thrift some components of the job, which means then that you have more money from that budget to maybe buy that other chair that you wanted or a better sofa or whatever it may be. So understand, if you love the concept of thrifting, for you to add that to your mix of services for your client can really help. So there's a excuse me, another picture of that ceiling there so you can see.
Beautiful.
So when it comes to being creative, again, it's understanding the client. Is the client comfortable with adding some thrifting or reused elements to their room? Some people are really all about the fact that I want this to be brand new and I paid full boat. And it isn't just about saving money. It's about creating those one of a kind of spaces. Um, Again, if you like to thrift, form those relationships at your various thrift stores. Um, if you are going out thrifting, going to an architectural salvage or whatever, dress to dig. Don't be going in your heels and your most expensive sweater or whatever. Watch the trends, see what's happening. We had talked on the video a while ago about the Ralph Lauren look making such a big comeback and the grandpa chic thing. So those are exactly the kind of things that lend themselves to thrifting. And then again, I never would have thought of that. Use things in a different way. In this picture here, this sideboard that you are seeing, I got it for $1. Um, the doors were gone on the bottom. You can still see the hinges on the side, and I will remove them, but it was $1. It's heavier than 4 men. Moving it, my husband was, and I kept saying to him, but it was only $1. When I got it and I opened up the drawer, there was a tag in it. This stuff had all come from a retail business that had closed. There was a tag in it of $3,500. So for $1, I'll live without the doors, and it's a great piece.
And also, kind of an unexpected element. Notice how JoAnne layered the art on top of the art. I will tell you one of the most creative things I thought we did, and it was a house that we were in Nashville. We were teaching a huge class, and we each had rooms, and we had a frame that was gorgeous, but nothing in the frame. And we layered, Joanne, do you remember this? We layered that
Do.
frame on top, just like this. We propped it, but we picked something that we could highlight in the landscaped picture, the big one behind. So
Uh-huh.
it was just so talked about, and I loved it. That was so creative. I never would have thought of that.
And incidentally, even that picture, the smaller one, that was something that when I was traveling one time, it's a old piece of art. It's an original watercolor, and it was dated like 1910. The artist had signed it. And I picked it up in a thrift store for $20, but it's a one of a kind. Look for found spaces when it comes to, I never would have thought of that. This was my own kitchen. I had that blank um, cabinet with a blank side. It drove me crazy. So I had my husband add that little display shelf on the side, and I changed that out all the time, depending on the holidays. And he just built a frame and added those little shelves in there. They're about the depth of a spice can. So I have a lot of fun with that extra piece. And when he did this, that's when I was going through my Buffalo check time of life and black and white. So it's something completely different now.
I love it.
This was a client of mine that had the ugliest fireplace I had ever seen in my life. It was in a variety of grays and very fake reds. And so at first, I told him, suggested that we do a makeover, and they wanted to baby step it. So we started out by painting it white. And when I came back after they had painted, and he said to me, what do you think of it now? I said, it's still ugly. It's just white ugly now. So finally they were like, oh, okay, JoAnne, let's do it. So I called my handyman, the guy that I sleep with on a daily basis, and he just did applied moldings and built out this mantle around it, and it made
What
such
a
a
difference.
difference
Yeah. Then
in
you
their
didn't have that expense of, the demo, the mess and everything, and you made them happy.
right. So understanding your client's budget, my client was not in a position to tear that all out, but they were delighted. And again, that was a case where she said, I never realized how ugly it was
Until it
until
looked
you
pretty.
and don't look pretty. And certainly I'm always very kind, but if there's something that is glaringly wrong, that's your job to make it better. So this is the Waterford Hotel in my small little town of Waterford, Pennsylvania. This was built in about the 1870s. It's been a private home over the years, but this was one of my really early big jobs, and they had hired me to do the entire building. It was being transformed into a tavern and a very nice restaurant. So in the bar, I wanted something different, and I was able to get access to an atlas, and I think the atlas was 1865. I can't read the date on the book. Uh,
1876.
Okay, so I was able to get access. So I went and printed, had a number of oversized architectural prints made from this book. Now, these Atlas guides at one time not only um, highlighted or listed everything that was happening, but they also would have these advertisements and stories. So we copied them, we wallpapered, basically decoupaged the walls in the whole bar area in these with no rhyme or reason. We just scattered things. And then to make it look older and vintage, I tea stained, along with my sister, we tea stained everything. And we put about 3 coats of tea on there. But that wallpaper, if you call it, that I never would have thought of that wallpaper, was up for about 20 years, and they had people all the time wanting to buy that custom wallpaper.
That's a great story. Okay, hold on just a sec.
And here again, another simple thing. Tea is your friend. Now, Rit Dye actually makes a tea stain, but I just use regular tea bags. I'll buy the big gallon size one. This piece of art, and you can't see it so much in the picture, but if you really look at the yellow compared to the gold, all we did, the picture was just a little too vibrant. For those of you that have taken my color class, or Sandra's and my color class, the picture was done in palette B, and we needed it to be in palette C. So all we did was tea stain, and it just knocked the colors down enough that the picture then worked perfectly in the new room. The other thing that we've done, if it's a commercial piece of art, I have more than once taken a piece of art to a local artist and had them actually repaint it, change those
Yes,
pink flowers to red or whatever it is I'm trying to accomplish in there. If the client really loves it, then, and it's not a priceless piece of art, go ahead and see what you can do to save it.
absolutely. I love this one, JoAnne. Love this.
So, our local historical society every other year does a community holiday house tour, and I've chaired it over the last 10 years. This was a project that we're doing. We want to do something different for a tree. This is my friend Rosemary. Rosemary and I went out in the pouring rain and gathered all this pampas grass out of ditches, out of fields. And when you first get it, it looks real tight. And as it dries, it creates this very pretty plume. Some of you may have something similar in your yard and they call it pampas grass. So it's that concept. Then my handyman built me a teepee with chicken wire, and we strung the lights in, and then we just filled the tree or filled the frame with the pampas grass. And then we also did a miniature one, and it was just so pretty and so soft when we were done.
So different.
So, if you are looking for some help, if you need someone to guide you, we are offering our Success Made Simple coaching. And this is not coaching in a box. It's not, there is nothing about it that is the same for every person. It is all based on you and what your needs are, whether it is to refine your design skills, refine your business skills, help you with your marketing, whatever it will be. Our goal is to make your business wow worthy. So if it's something that you're interested in, there is my email. And Sandra, I think we have a couple of the packages on the next page. Sandra and I have been coaching and mentoring privately since the beginning of time, but we decided to just make it more available because oftentimes people will say, I wish you could help me. It's like, well, we can. So we decided to let you know. So if you just need a starter session, it's 90 minutes, it's $295. You'll end up with a plan of how to move forward, an action plan, a full review of where you are. Um, and then we have for someone that wants more, we have the accelerator program. And that would be 4 biweekly programs as well as a number of other things. So if you want to know more, give us a call or send us an email and we'll tell you all about it and help you kick butt in 2026.
Love it.
And then this is a VIP intensive, but again, it's something that we can talk about depending on what your needs are.
So as JoAnne said, it really is about, what we can do to help you guys and reach your goals, and everybody has different goals. I mean, even we look at our businesses. When I started, I had totally different goals than I have now. So whatever we can do to help you, as we've said before, if there's a particular topic that you want to see us discuss in the boardroom, just shoot us an email. We love to have that kind of feedback. We've got some fun ones and educational, of course, coming up for next year. So thank you as always for joining us. And there's our info if you want to reach out.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.